You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances, while the township supervisor.
But it saddens my heart that you are up here at this special meeting and not downstairs where we have big bingo.
Can you believe the chaos unfolding in Dolton, Illinois? If you haven't been keeping up with the saga of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, get ready, because this story is a wild ride. Buckle up. This scandal has it all: financial disasters, federal investigations, and a mayor who's gone from being praised as a local hero to standing in the middle of a storm that could sweep her right out of office.
And I mean, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some accountability.
Here's the truth. Dolton, a small village that should be just another quiet suburb, is now in national headlines for all the wrong reasons. And at the center of it all, Mayor Tiffany Henyard, accused of turning a once prosperous village into a financial disaster zone. Not long ago, Dolton was sitting on a multi-million-dollar surplus. Fast forward to today, and the village is drowning in debt. Over $3.5 million in the red. And where's Henyard while all of this is happening? Nowhere to be found. That's right, the mayor has gone missing in action just as the heat is closing in.
So that's one of the reasons I won't know when we go through our board packets. It's like, you know, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
Let's rewind a little. Henyard's rise to power wasn't smooth, nor was it won through charm or policies. No, the truth is, she slipped into office under shady circumstances. It began after the sudden passing of longtime Mayor Frank Zuccarelli. The Thornton Township Board was responsible for naming his replacement, but they were deeply divided. Time was running out, and at the very last minute, Trustee Christopher Gonzalez nominated Tiffany Henyard, someone barely known in the local political scene. She wasn't even the first choice.
Guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
But with the clock ticking, the board caved. Just minutes before midnight, Henyard was sworn in as mayor. Talk about slipping through the back door. And from the moment she got that power, the warning signs were flashing. One of her first moves? Firing key officials who had been loyal to the former mayor. These weren't just random employees. They were respected figures with deep roots in the village. But Henyard didn't care. She saw them as threats to her authority. And just like that, they were gone, leaving the community stunned and questioning her true motives.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Free?
In no time at all, Dolton became Henyard's personal playground. She ruled with an iron fist, knocking down anyone who dared stand in her way. Rumors spread that she held grudges against anyone connected to the previous mayor, especially those who tried to guide her as she stumbled into her new role. And soon, the people saw it too. Henyard wasn't rebuilding. She was tearing everything apart.
Everybody, is there a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You just got it.
They knew what they were doing, and they thought they can get away.
And firing a few staff members was only the beginning. From that point on, Henyard's actions painted a picture of a leader either completely out of her depth or someone who simply didn't care. She surrounded herself with loyalists who would follow orders without hesitation. From locking township officials out of their offices to intimidating critics, her administration quickly earned a reputation for being hostile and vindictive. The real collapse came when financial reports revealed the village had gone from a $5.6 million surplus to a $3.65 million deficit in just 2 years. Everyone wanted to know, how does something like this even happen? All fingers pointed at Henyard. That's when former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was called in as a special investigator, and her findings were brutal.
The township residents are paying for her funds.
Lightfoot didn't hold back. She revealed Henyard had been spending taxpayer money like it was free cash. Lavish. Trips, expensive dinners, shopping sprees that could make a Kardashian blush, all charged to the village credit card.
Reason for anyone from a township to go to a mayor's conference. A mayor's conference is a mayor's conference for me.
One shocking detail, Henyard blew $33,000 in a single day on Amazon. Yes, $33,000 of taxpayer money in just 24 hours on who knows what.
Who would make a one day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is,
And that was only the beginning. Huge overtime payouts were handed to certain police officers, some earning more in overtime than in their base salaries. One officer, alone raked in $114 to $800 in overtime pay. No wonder Dalton's finances collapsed. But Henyard didn't stop there. She even reinstated disgraced Deputy Police Chief Robert Lacey, who was already facing federal bankruptcy fraud charges.
Appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next step.
The trustees had placed Lacey on leave, but Henyard defied logic and brought him back, ordering the police to obey his command. When trustees tried to fire him again, Lacey kept showing up to work like nothing had happened. Things spiraled so far out of control that Henyard was caught on tape telling officers to stop playing silly games and fall in line behind Lacey, despite his legal troubles and the trustees' vote of no confidence.
Absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
And it wasn't just Lacey. Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman, was also facing bankruptcy fraud charges. On top of that, it was revealed he had been overpaid while working in another village. Still, Henyard kept him close, raising suspicions that her administration was less about public service and more about shielding her inner circle. As outrage spread, residents branded her the Dalton dictator, accusing her of bankrupting their community while living large at their expense. To make matters worse, a harassment and retaliation lawsuit emerged. A former employee accused one of Henyard's allies of misconduct during a Las Vegas trip, and when she spoke out, she was fired. The scandal only deepened the perception that Henyard would do anything to silence critics.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Scandals piling up, the feds finally stepped in. The FBI opened an investigation, subpoenaing Dalton and Thornton Township for payroll, expense, and credit card records. Henyard brushed it off as a political attack, claiming she was being targeted because she's a black woman in power. But critics say race isn't the issue, it's corruption. Even her own former supporters turned against her. Sher Britton, once an ally, later called her a tyrant and dictator. And she wasn't alone. Many who once believed in Henyard now say she betrayed their trust. The Illinois State Comptroller, Susana Mendoza, went as far as freezing state funds to Dalton because Henyard's administration hadn't filed financial reports in 2 years. Mendoza warned that if Dalton didn't comply, it could face nearly $80,000 in fines, money the village clearly doesn't have. Protests demanding Henyard's resignation grew louder. At one explosive board meeting, things got so out of hand, police cleared the room after threats were made. 4 trustees walked out in protest, accusing Henyard of silencing the public. She dismissed it all as chaos. But it's clear, her administration is collapsing. And Lori Lightfoot, digging deeper, has already uncovered enough shady dealings to expose the entire house of cards. While she can't press charges herself, her findings could end up in federal hands. Yet, even as the walls close, Henyard remains defiant, still clinging to power, still denying everything, still painting herself as a victim. But how long can she keep up this act? The investigations are closing in, the outrage is boiling over, and her allies are sinking one by one. It feels inevitable. Her empire is on the verge of collapse.
Get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing.
So, what do you think? Will Tiffany Henyard finally face the consequences of her actions? Or will she somehow escape the wreckage she's created? And with all these scandals weighing down Dalton, can the village ever recover from her chaotic reign? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time.